hippies out to make it rich, must be the season of the witch.
And now we have to accept that some big company comes around, sticks some genetic marker in there, says, hey, now it's only us. That's theft. They're stealing from us.
Tear down this wall.
One more time.
The new cannabis industry is stepping out. For the first time ever in Europe, the International Cannabis Business Conference was held in Berlin this week. Politicians, legal advisors, scientists, businessmen, and women, all coming together in the professionalization and mainstreaming of the cannabis industry. And it seems unstoppable.
4 years ago, we really started down this road of legalizing the medical use of cannabis. Today, it is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and it's still very much in its infancy.
U.S. Republican Congressman Dana Rohrabacher was the keynote speaker of the event. He is one of the leading cannabis law reformers in Congress.
What I'm doing right now is, I think, consistent with what our founding fathers had in mind, and that was people came to America to get away from government controlling their lives or to be free. I believe the first step toward freedom, of course, is to make sure we reaffirm that people have a right to control their own bodies. People have a right to basically consume what they choose to consume. The gentleman just mentioned how many of our poor Americans end up going to jail because they can't afford lawyers because they had a marijuana joint, for Pete's sakes, where some of the more affluent people, they get off right away and they have no record of their ever being arrested. Well, what we've had since this war on drugs is we have had the centralization of police powers in the United States that are totally inconsistent. You know, they end up now with military equipment in our cities. I mean, this is ridiculous, having tanks that were designed for warfare now are being put to use to get those terrible drug dealers who want to sell a joint to some kid down in the park.
The cannabis industry is a rapidly developing and a commercial playground and is creating a general awareness. It is opening eyes. Alex Rogers, the main organizer behind the conference, once served a 6-month sentence for cannabis-related offenses in a German prison. When he came out, he was 35 years old and completely broke. But now, he is a man with a mission.
4 or 5 years ago, I realized, I want to come back one day to Berlin and help codify and push public policy forward. And we've done that in a big way this week. It's very satisfying that as it develops and more suits get into the game, if you will, that we still understand that why we're here, how we got this far, and what we still need to do. If we think that we're going to have this cannabis business and it's just going to be like any other business, I don't want that. I believe that the cannabis revolution, with all its business possibilities, is also a cultural revolution. Simply said, the more cannabis in the world and hemp, the better the world will be. It sounds kind of hippie to some people, but I'm sticking with it and I'm going with it.
Some see it as inevitable that large companies will play a big role in the cannabis industry.
There was a time when marijuana was not an industry, or people thought it wasn't an industry, but there was always commerce in it. And now that it's becoming legal, it's certainly going to become part of the economy. You know, there was a song that Donovan had maybe 40 years ago where he said, hippies out to make it rich, must be the season of the witch.
Beatniks out to make it rich, must be the season of the witch, must be the season.
The plant belongs to everyone, but a particular variety might belong to an individual or to a company. So there's that. And, you know, if you don't have that kind of protection, then it doesn't give people an incentive to continue to produce newer and better things. This is becoming part of society, and that's the way Western society is. So you have to expect that.
One of the threats is the concern for the lack of variety if the big companies are taking over and monopolizing the cultivation of cannabis seeds. The genetic variety of seeds is at the basis of the entire industry.
We are talking to politicians, we're talking to people that are making the new rules. We have to make sure that they also understand that there needs to be room for genetic diversity of cannabis.
Yes, we are a company, we are commercial, and we have been looking into many things also, like patenting or anyway protecting your materials. But it comes to a very principled problem at a certain point. For me as a person also. And I think you feel the same way. That's why you see also some ugly things. Because do we want big interests to control our food?
Look, for the past 10,000 years, these crops were from mankind.
It was from us, from all of us, from mankind. And now we have to accept that some big company comes around, sticks some genetic marker in there, says, hey, now it's only us. That's theft. They're stealing from us.
If there's too many restrictions and only a few companies can grow, then we lose a lot of genetics.
Because we're losing it, big time, everywhere in the world. This is what we have to ask.
So.
Your source of cannabis news. Cannabis News Network.